the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome, race fans, on a Monday night back to Prime Time Racing TV. Tonight we hit the high banks of Sin City, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We are taking the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup machines out here for what will be 90 laps here in round number 7 of the Red Light Scrambler Series, as their 15 race series that combines all of the top 3 vehicles in the NASCAR sanction in one season, which makes it a very interesting season to watch. And a little bit of extra help in the booth here tonight. Myself, Corey Silva, behind the cameras, as well as in the booth, Evan Black and Cole Borgstad, a member of Primetime Racing that hasn't really been on the air too much. So here's an opportunity to introduce him to the team. And well, start with you, Evan. I know you haven't covered us in this series too much, but we know how the Monster Energy Cup machines race in this new aero package. So it's going to be quite the race here on the High Bank 1.5 miler.
Be a really good track for these Cup cars here tonight with the bit lower horsepower and higher downforce package. It's going to create for some really exciting racing here, and especially on these restarts, these guys are going to need to watch out to make sure that they don't have too much carnage. But yeah, this track is going to be really good for these cars.
All right, and Cole, welcome to the booth here. Obviously, haven't been able to see you on the air with us, but first off, welcome to the booth, and what are you expecting to see in tonight's race?
Well, thank you for having me tonight, but I'm expecting, some really good tight racing, hopefully, hopefully some pack racing, but we'll just have to see what happens. Sometimes, you get those 1 or 2 guys, somehow they just pull away from the rest of the pack, so we'll just have to see what happens tonight.
Yeah, we will indeed see what happens here. Now, qualifying underway, your typical guys up front, or at least one of them that we usually see in the series, Max Terrio. He is leading the field down by only a mere thousandths over James Heater, Minto, Kamara, and Eric Johnson, rounding out your top 5. If you go back last week to our race at Myrtle Beach, it was quite the calamity-ridden event, and our top-tier drivers were taken out of it. We did have Terrio and the 88 of Sean Butler out in incidents, so that definitely shook up the standings. So I could take a brief look at the standings and tell you what is going on in that regard. After 6 races, Max Terrio still is your points leader by 10 points over Tim Blum, and then we have James Skelton, Brandon Minto, and Eric Johnson in the 5th spot. Sean Butler, our 3-time winner this season, back to 6th position, guys, and I'm looking for that number 88, and I don't see him here signed up for tonight's race.
Yeah, I don't see him out there tonight, so that's definitely going to be a disadvantage for him in his point situation. So we'll have to see if he does join in here in the next few minutes, but I'm going to say that's kind of unlikely.
Yep. And in this series, they do have a playoff situation, which will occur in a couple of weeks. We have this race and Pocono to round out the regular season, and then we will hit the round of 12 to start with Phoenix and Texas. So you want to be in that top 12, and right now that goes all the way back to Kyle Souza, who has 95 points. He has a 5-point buffer over that cut line, so things we will be watching out for in tonight's race here at Las Vegas.
Another thing to look at is that top standing qualifying only separated by about a 0.5 of a second. Just with how this package is working out, these times are going to be really close here for qualifying, so going to be bunched up here in the race, and just going to have to really watch out, because with how much this package ends up being in pack racing, we can see some pretty big wrecks here.
Yes, we can. And well, Evan, I know personally both of us took to the 1.5 mile at Kentucky yesterday in some A-car racing, albeit the banking there much lower, but you still get similar racing. And we've taken these things to Charlotte, Texas. I mean, you see the 2 and 3 wide racing on the first maybe 10 to 15 laps, as these guys are primarily flat-footed. But one thing we do have to watch out for is as the tires wear, it does become increasingly more difficult to pass. The aero push comes more into play, and that right front tire may be your best friend or your worst enemy.
Yeah, as the tires kind of wear out, you're going to have to start running a little bit higher, and that's going to make it harder to pass, because if you try and get underneath someone and then you don't clear them off of the corner, you're just going to lose all your momentum, and very likely lose at least one spot, if not more.
Yep, these 550 horsepower machines, very sensitive to momentum and running down there on the inside. Remember, Las Vegas on top of it is a progressively banked track, so there is slightly more banking on the top of the track, so makes it easier to maintain that momentum up there. And we'll pull up the track map and the weather statistics here tonight. The 1.5 miler at Las Vegas, just about 3 o'clock in Sim World for this event, and 68 degrees in the air with a 93 degree track temp and about a 13-14 mile an hour northwest wind. So 93 degree track temp, guys. It's nothing overly grippy, but it's kind of not too slick. It's kind of a good sweet spot. The track really shouldn't be of too much concern tonight.
Yeah, and that will end up helping with the some of the tire wear, because they don't have to push quite as hard on those tires, and could end up creating for a little bit better racing for us to watch, and it's gonna be fun.
All right, so that is your countdown, and these guys are going to get themselves situated onto the grid for the starting lineup for tonight's race. So let's bring it to you. It's the PTR TV starting lineup here tonight from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. On the pole with a lap time of 30.438, the Canadian Max Terrio will lead him down here tonight, with James Heater on low line racing on the outside of the front row. Brandon Minto in the third spot, David Kamara in fourth, and then fifth and sixth we'll find Eric Johnson and Todd Cray, who had the victory last week at Myrtle Beach. Ethan Troutman and Andy Lee, seventh and eighth.
And rolling off in the ninth position, we have the number 10 of Tim Blum. In 10th, the 940 of Eric Tepper. 11th, Richard Murdoch. 12th, Jesse Baker. 13th, Bruce Potter. 14th, Kyle Souza. And then Tony Strano and Joshua Buckley rolling off in 15th and 16th.
And rolling off 17th will be Brian Williams. Rolling off 16th, 17th, sorry. Rolling off 18th will be Ryan Oldani. Rolling off 19th will be Leo Bordage. I'm sorry if I butcher up any names tonight. Rolling off 20th will be Joe Strano. Rolling off 21st will be James Skelton. Starting at the back of the field, even though these guys do start at the back sometimes, they may make it up to the front, will be Patrick Orr.
All right, so that is your 22-car field of drivers here at Las Vegas, and we do want to give you our race format, our race analysis here tonight. Fixed setup series. Most important factor is the 50% fuel load, and we are estimating that to be about 25 to 30 laps. We don't have definitive evidence on that, but just using our best judgments. And if necessary, we will have 3 attempts at the green-white checker. And I think, Evan, you have our keys to the race.
Yeah, key to the race number 1 is going to be aero push, and especially, well, it's not going to matter probably quite as much with this lower tractant, but just getting behind someone, you're going to need to try and find some kind of clean air, because if you stay right behind him, you're just going to get really tight, lose all the air on the nose of that car. And then number 2, pack racing on restarts, and we're going to see it here on this initial start, just how bunched up they're all going to be, and they're going to be like that for probably 10, 15, maybe 20 laps, depending on how the tires wear out. So you're really going to have to watch and be careful on these restarts. And then pit strategy, when do you pit? We're going to assume that this is probably going to be a 2-stop race, but it could really matter when you do decide to make those pit stops.
Yes, it will. We've seen many a time where the older tires and having to pit before or after your competitors, and where will you come out in relation, and can you lead it down to the checkers on your tire situation? We'll see if that does come into play. 22 drivers strong here in the Red Light Scrambler Series, round number 7 on PTR TV. The Canadian Max Terrio in the number 42, trying to get a redeeming effort after last week's race at Myrtle Beach. He's going to take the high side for the initial start. We wait for the flagger to put the green flag in the air, and there it is. We're racing in Las Vegas.
Pretty even start by all the top 4 right there. 42 of Terrio with a slight advantage down into turn 1. The inside lane is going to work out though for Brandon Minto. I'm not quite sure why Terrio decided to take the outside lane there. Looks like it is not going to work out for him. Heater going to get the lead here out of turn 2 down the backstretch now, and that 18 is clear for the lead.
Yeah, the momentum on the outside not built up yet because you're still getting up to speed, which usually gives the inside the advantage on the first lap of the race. Maybe he was looking for a push up top. Unfortunately, it did not work out in his favor. David Kamara trying to do what he can, but he's actually going to get cut off by that number 962, I believe it to be, of rather the 20 machine, excuse me. Brandon Minto goes into the front of the 42 of Max Terrio. Now the 42 giving a big push to the 20 to the back of the 18 of Heater, but now the door is going to open up on the bottom of the track for Eric Johnson to go for the lead to the inside.
Side by side for the lead, Eric Johnson almost clear that 18 down the front stretch. Now is probably going to clear him right at the start finish. Is he going to slide up? He is clear now. Going to stay down that bottom lane with a push from the 962 down into turns number 1 and 2. Looks like now Johnson is clear. Will he slide up in front of the 18? He's thinking about it, but going to stay in the middle. Almost got put 3 wide there, but going to stay down in the bottom.
Nearly had a 3 wide effort with Ethan Troutman in that South Point 962 machine, but he chose to stay in line still early in the race for those amazing and daring moves. And speaking of which, the 20 looked to the outside of the 18 Magene's Heater, but he did hold it in line. And just look at the long shot guys go through this field 2 by 2. We're on pace lap formation, nearly 5 laps into the event.
Now Johnson clear, going to slide up in front of that 18 of Heater down the back stretch. Going to leave the door open for the 962 down to the inside. Going to get to his left rear quarter panel. He's there.
Yes, he is. Troutman is going to go for the lead to the inside of the track. Who's going to get it at the stripe? It's going to be the 962. You'll see the lead change tracker on the top of the ticker. I expect that to be very high after tonight's efforts. And guys, you're in this pack. You're still flat out, very nearly flat out, but there's going to be a lap where the handling is going to go away and the push is going to hit. These guys are going to have to prepare for that.
Yeah, Troutman and Johnson are still definitely going to be flat out and probably here for at least 5-10 more laps, but the guys behind him are probably starting to have to lift a little bit now, just so they are losing the grip in the right front tires. And now the 10, maybe looking 3 wide for the lead. Tim Blum going to get back in line now.
Tim Blum in the tide ride to the inside decides to again play it safe. The Black Bandit on the top of the track, 33 of Eric Johnson. He is still going for the lead on the outside. The 962 of Troutman persevering on the inside groove. And if you are that 10 of Blum, you're just trying to see what you can do on that inside while you're pinched down. The 962 is going to try to go up and block the 33, chose against it. And look at them fanning out. The 922 took a look to the inside.
Cutting down to the apron there on the front straightaway. Now the 10 of Tim Blum looks like he's starting to get a little bit tight down there. He is having to lift a little bit now. 962 of Troutman is clear for the lead, staying down on the bottom to block that lane for the moment, not going up in front of the 33 of Johnson. And I wonder how much longer it's going to take for that outside lane to start to prevail. I don't think it'll be too much longer. As you can see, he's got a bit of a run there, almost 3 wide. Now Tim Blum to the inside. Troutman going to be stuck in the middle, maybe.
Worth noting right now as this lead goes on, the battle goes on up front, that your pole sitter of Max Terrio, who did not even lead a lap in the race thus far, back to the 9th position, stuck there on the outside lane. Again, he chose the outside for the initial start, and obviously that did not go the way he anticipated. And still, we are 2 by 2, pretty much back through the 18th or so position. And you can see up front now, Tim Blum in the tide ride. He has managed to get the lead, and now the 962, he was to the inside. Here he goes to the outside with the help from the 33 of Johnson.
Outside lane still not able to get enough of a run quite yet. It's starting to get a little bit more every single lap, but still not enough to get up there and battle for the lead. We'll see here now the doors open for the 922 to the inside of Todd Cray. We'll see what he decides to do. Is he going to just stay in line and push that 10? As he is now almost clear the 962.
Todd Cray, he's going to be in that position where now the inside is going to be a little bit more difficult to run 10 laps into the race. So he's going to really try to get some clean air. He's not going to be able to do it right behind the number 10 machine. And he will get noticeably tighter, so you will see him maybe take a look to the outside or even try to get a little bit of a car to the inside of 10 just to get any kind of downforce on the front of that machine.
See, he was trying to run a little bit lower there, but couldn't quite do it. Just got a little bit tight on entry. And now the top 3 kind of single file. Top 7 or 8 probably now actually is all single file. The tires are starting to wear. These guys are having to try to find different lanes to get some clean air.
And this is the point as we have someone in the fence off a 2. Down the back straightaway. There we go. We're wrecking big.
That's a big one.
At least 8 to 10 cars in it. Try to see where it stemmed from as we will go under caution and go on to PTR TV replay.
Looks like it started with Max Terrio. Or actually, Max Terrio and the 18 both hit the wall just kind of at the same time on turn 2 there. And that's what caused it.
Terrio first. The 18 was actually hit a little bit farther down the straightaway, but just try to get a different view as to what wadded everybody up. But this same exact thing happened to me in an Xfinity race here, and it actually cost me the championship because I got some right front damage. As we will again take a little bit of a look, and I'll continue my story into the fence. He went down the track, and then the 11 and the 9, I think it was the 973 or 943 rather, just collected, and then obviously everybody else involved. And there are no backup cars tonight, so if you can't get it repaired, your race may be over, but the pits will be open, and I expect it to be a busy place.
Yeah, it's encouraged everyone going to be coming down to get some 4 fresh tires here. That was about a 11 lap run there.
Yep, 4 tires and fuel. Remember the 50% fuel limit in this machine, in this package, so fuel is going to be very important to get right away. But what I was mentioning, guys, is that the exit of turn 2, you'll get a good look at it when we pass by, but the way the safer barrier is, you have it all throughout the corner, but it fades out right on the exit of the corner. And when it fades out, sometimes if you're in the right position, you'll kind of get sucked into it, and then that'll get you sideways. And I think that pretty much is what happened to Terrio.
Yeah, that, and they were just behind a few other cars directly behind them, and
see right
they
there,
just had no air on the nose.
See right there how it tapers out as you're fading up the track to exit the corner. It's just very easy to get stuck into it at the transition. That'll throw you in, and obviously, as you said, Evan, getting tight is pretty much what gets you that high in the first place. Ideally, you're not even running that high in the first place, but with the push, sometimes it is unavoidable. But I am showing Joe Strano and Bruce Potter as entering pit lane, but not actually getting service done. But they will choose to get their service done this time by perhaps just needing to catch up a little bit more to get better clearance to the pace car. And it does look like the 943 of Strano is just going to be around for a pace lap for the remainder of this race. I don't see that thing going much faster than that. See Max Terrio making a second stop, or rather a little over a 1 minute stop for Terrio. So obviously trying to get as much damage repaired as he can. But I'm looking through the remainder of guys as we are on 1 to go, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, even 8 drivers that have been in the pit road for over a minute on that last caution. So that leads you to believe a lot of damaged machines.
Yeah, there were a lot of cars caught up in that wreck, so we'll have to see how many that's going to take out of contention here. Probably a little bit with the draft. It will, if they only have aero damage, they should still be able to keep up. The main issue is if they do have any engine damage, that's what's going to hurt them the most.
Yeah, the draft is kind of the equalizer. As long as you're within a couple miles an hour off the pace, the draft can kind of give you a little bit the equalize effect. But if you are too much off, well, there's really no help for you in that situation. You're just going to be chugging along for the remaining laps. But we'll see what happens. The field is in Tim Blum's control. 33 to the outside, and the pace car is in. We'll wait for Blum to get this race restarted. And we're into the restart zone. Green flag in the air. Let's try this again.
I think the inside will work a bit better here for Tim Blum than the outside worked on that initial start. We'll have to see you going down into turn 1. Blum already cleared that 33. Now getting a push from Troutman. We'll see if Troutman gets clear. Is he going to stay in line, or is he going to try and move up to his outside? But at least right now he's not going to get clear.
Yeah, Troutman will stay in line. He does have the push from the 20 of Minto, and then 33 washes a little bit high. That opened the door for Todd Cray for a 3 wide. He chose not to take it. So he will stay in line on that outside. The outside lost a ton of time there on that lap after the restart. So here comes now Troutman to the outside. He has no help. I don't think that's going to work for him unless he can get a push.
And now we got the 33 coming up to his bumper here. He's hanging pretty well up there. He had no help down the backstretch and was hanging still right on his regular quarter panel. Let's see if he can get a push here out of 4 if that inside is going to prevail. Looks like right now the inside is the better spot to be, at least early on in the runs. Let's see if it does eventually move up as the tires wear out.
Yeah, I expect it to. Who is that? That car to the bottom, that number 3, that was Tony Strano. Again, he is brothers to Joe, who has had his issues tonight, but he got loose and washed up the track in the middle of 1 and 2, kind of caused the 33 to wash up the track in reaction to it. But I think, Evan, between the fact that we do have a smaller pack this run and maybe just a little more patience being shown by these guys, you can see the intensity kind of wound down. But these guys are just trying to survive and get this race kind of in the thick of things.
Yeah, then now, especially with all the guys being kind of off pace, there's probably a few less cars out there that can keep up. So that could have something to do with it as well.
Did just lose on the top of the track. I think that was Minto, rather, on the bottom of the track. Connectivity issues there, but hopefully that does stay okay for him. And does look like in this lead pack, I think we go back to about the number 940 of Eric Tupper. And then a little bit of a gap back to James Skelton in the 86, and whether that's damage or just lost the draft, don't quite know. He's going to try to get back to this pack. I think there is a chance he will be able to. Patrick Orr in the 81. Looks like he may have just lost the draft. I don't see much damage to that machine, as they still are kind of jostling around up front. Then we go back to Brian Phillips by himself, Bruce Potter, Richard Murdoch. See all these guys, Max Terrio even. Max Terrio definitely off the pace in that number 42, so he's going to need attrition to better his finishing spot. But here we go back up front. Look at the top of the racetrack. More populated, 962, 33, and the 2 of Josh Buckley all trying to work the top of the racetrack.
And it was working there for a moment, but now losing with time through 3 and 4, gaining a little bit back down the front stretch. Not sure if it'll be enough to get back up to that side. Doesn't look like it will. Going down into turn 1 once again, and the 10 of Blum still clear. Have to see if they can get a better run from the outside, but there's only 3 of them up there and about 5 on the inside, so outside lane, at least at the moment, is disadvantaged.
Yes, it is, and as we said, Evan, we're just waiting for that magical lap where the tires go away enough to where that outside lane will prevail, obviously with the more banking up there. And one thing we haven't really talked about all night was the bumps to the inside of corners 1 and 2. Obviously the downforce and the slower speeds that these cars have kind of allow them to run through the bumps a little bit more freely than on the older package we had, but still, nonetheless, when the grip goes away, Evan, those bumps in 1 and 2 will definitely make that groove even more difficult to drive through.
And then you see through 3 and 4 that 33 of Johnson way up the track. Got a little bit tight on an entry. That's going to really hurt the outside lane's momentum. But Troutman is side by side for the lead with the 10, but has no help up there.
We're talking before on the prior stint about Todd Cray. He was up there in the 922. Remember, he did win last week's race at Myrtle Beach in dominating fashion, as it was definitely the attrition-ridden race. He was going up for the lead earlier, but the way things shuffled out with the pit stop cycle and the restart has himself stuck in the 7th position with the 940, as I said, of Tupper. Here he goes to the outside of the 3 of Tony Strano, who is to the inside of the track with no help at the moment. So that 922 trying to gain a little bit more time. But as we go back up front, you can see the inside lane only populated by Blum and Minto. Does seem that everybody is favoring the outside now, as we are a little over 10 laps into this stint.
It could be starting to get a little tight down on the bottom. Now coming up on the lap car of Leo Bordage. Down on the inside, very damaged on that car. He's going to go down to the apron, kind of let everyone go by him.
Yep, and that will force your leader. Somebody, I think that was Buckley, picking up some sparks by making a little bit of wall contact there in the tri-oval, but nothing of significance at the moment. And I'm just seeing, Evan, these guys, especially coming off corner number 2, we saw that's what caused the initial big one. But it does appear that these guys are starting to wash a little bit further up the track off turn 2. I think these cars are getting tighter, which we saw the issues that it brought last time.
Yeah, probably will help a little bit since it is a bit of a smaller field up here now. So hopefully we can keep it clean and green here for a little while longer. See if we can get some green flag pit stops in. But now the top 2, again, single file kind of starting to spread out just a little bit. Side by side, 4th, 3rd, but it looks like the 33 of Johnson is going to clear. Probably here out of turn 4 as the 20 is getting a little bit tight down there on the bottom. And yeah, Johnson is going to clear now.
Now, Evan, I'm watching a little bit further back. I was watching Josh Buckley through 1 and 2. He was kind of having an issue while trying to side draft someone, I think. But it brought me to Leo Bourdage's attention, and we saw how much damage he had. And he is going to lose the draft, but he's not dropping as fast through the pack as I expected. He's kind of not being a hindrance to these guys. But again, with the draft being a little bit of an equalizer, he's actually hanging with these guys a little better than I expected.
Yeah, he's actually doing a pretty good job of hanging in there. Still has not lost this lead draft. He's about to here on the straightaway. But through the corners, he's still got just as much, if not more speed. But just down the straights, he's a bit down in power.
Yep, so again, that just proves the point Evan did make earlier about just because you have a little bit of aero damage, or I think Bourdage has a little bit more than that, but if you have a little bit, you may not be able to make the run for the win, but you still may be able to make a decent enough finish out of it. But I was just talking about Todd Cray in the 7th position, and here he is in the 3rd spot now, and now he's closing in on the 2nd spot of Eric Johnson as we do have some more lap traffic for these guys to divert around. Kyle Souza to the top of the track in the 4, and trying to see who that other driver is, the orange flame machine. Couldn't quite make the numbers out as everybody is scattering amongst the back straightaway.
Field definitely starting to get more spread out here. The 10 of Tim Blum up to almost a half-second lead now over Eric Johnson. Let's see if he can close that in. Pretty equal lap times among the top 3 right there. Have to see if that can continue.
Yep, so I think that if you are Todd Cray, I think you did kind of what I did in the NIS race, or rather the A fixed race I did the other day, was you just kind of back up your corners a little bit more, you let it roll in, you find the clean air so you're not having to, turn extra difficult through the aero push. You just save that right front tire, then as these runs age, you have that right front tire to use to maneuver when everybody else has already burnt it out. You can see he is definitely faster than the 33, but the issue is, it's just, we talked about the issue with this package, is that you're faster, but it's so momentum based that you're stuck in that dirty air, and every time you do find an opportunity, it just seems you stall out or you end up getting bogged down.
Last time by, Johnson was a little bit quicker, and once again this time a little bit quicker, not a whole lot, about a half-tenth quicker, so we'll have to see if he can continue that. It looks like he will. I think he saved his tires a little bit better. We'll have to see if Todd Cray can get around Johnson, or if he's just going to kind of stay there in line and try and push him up to the leader.
But remember, the kind of the fault, not the fault, but just for someone I know like myself, if I was in this league, I'd struggle. And the reason I would struggle is because I'm a long-run driver. That's usually where I make my time up, as you well know, Evan. But in this series, there's not really long runs, because as soon as we get going, we are on lap 20 now. Remember, the 50% fuel load, probably within the next 10 laps, we're going to be heading to pit road. So if you are Todd Cray, who's good at saving your tires, you may have to turn the wick up a little bit more, because you're only going to get so much usage out of them before the fuel cell runs dry.
And this still probably is going to end up being a 2-stop race. It's going to be really close, because they still got to run another 10 laps or so, and then at that point it'll be 44, 45, somewhere around there, and I don't think they'll make it that far, but we'll just have to see how far they do end up doing on this run. But now Johnson is starting to get a little bit closer here, has to push from Todd Cray, now going up to the second lane there through 3 and 4. Losing a bit of time.
Yep, here comes Cray to the inside. He's going to actually have a little bit of draft from the 10 down the front straightaway, which will work to his advantage. Now, if he's able to run that low line in corner number 1 on these older tires, then all will be well and good for him. Does appear to be the case. He's going to get tight and cross up the track right in front of the 33. Thought the 33 was going to have a crossover in the making, but didn't have the momentum to do so. So now Todd Cray will set his sights on Tim Blum. So will Cray get the lead, or will we have a pit stop first? I guess we'll find out. And if you're Tim Blum, this is a very good strategy to pull in this series, Evan. As soon as you get past and you're in a fuel window, which we estimate that you probably are already right now, you may as well come to pit road right away.
Only thing though is on fresh tires, you probably are a little bit quicker in a pack.
Yeah, so that's a good point, is the draft coming into play. I mean, right now they're running 30.7s, and that's on old tires in a single car draft. Our best lap times were 29.9. However, I don't know if you can go back and maybe look up what the qualifying times were, because I don't actually remember what they were, in all honesty. But just to see how the
30.43 was the poll.
All right, so old tires versus solo car run is only going to be about a 2 to 3 tenth advantage.
Yeah, and that pole time was in 30.43, and then
Here
comes Tim Blum to pit road.
So he obviously thinks he's in enough of a window, or maybe the fuel cell is already running dry. We'll see which one it is in comparison to when everybody else comes down. Eric Tupper also following him down pit road, so now it'll be very interesting to see what does everybody else choose to do. Are they going to try to run a couple extra laps? And as we just said, we don't expect the tire wear to provide the advantage it brings in other tracks, as
Here comes Johnson to pit road, Minto, Troutman all come to pit road.
And Johnson really had to woe it down. We didn't really talk about this yet, as the Las Vegas Motor Speedway pit road is not the easiest one to enter in the green flag conditions, the way as set into the front stretches it is.
So let's see, is Craig going to come to pit road this time? It looks like he might. Yep,
Yes,
Todd
he
Craig
is.
coming down this time.
Let's just see what everybody else chooses to do. And there's usually always one person in this series. We have Skelton, we have Buckley. Now it's going to be Orr. All right, so Orr's coming to pit road. So usually there's always one guy who pits on the last possible lap. But seeing as that was...
Maybe this is.
Yeah, maybe this is lap number 26. Apparently being the farther end of the stint. So where will that put us? To about lap number 65 to 67. We would expect the next set of stops to occur, so take that into consideration for the end of this race if it does go green. So let's see. Tim Blum coming through corners number 3 and 4 now at full speed. And here comes Todd Cray just hitting the pit exit code. Remember, you have to go on the apron all through 1 and 2 until you get to the blue cone on the exit. So this is going to be close, but I think the momentum from the 10, there it goes. Now, what's the interval going to be?
And then looks like
Johnson.
Craig will have 2 lap pressure tires, but it's not going to... I don't think that's going to make a huge difference with this package, but here comes Johnson.
This is what will make a difference, is the little bit... If they work together, I mean, Evan, we did this at a Charlotte race together, and it just seems so very awkward, but look at them. They have to tandem draft on a 1.5 miler. I mean, it still doesn't make sense to me, but they're going to have to do it, and it should.
It's probably going to work for them.
I mean, it worked for us. In the race Evan and I did, we went from 6 seconds down to about 2 seconds down. So it will work. They're going to have to coordinate it for the benefit of each other. And right behind that is Minto and Tupper. They are about 1.5 seconds behind. I mean, if they really want to coordinate this, maybe back off and make it a 4-car quartet. Is that one? Yeah, that's what it'd be, right? Yeah, quartet. And then close the gap even quicker. But right now it's about 2 seconds, and we'll bring up the top 10 lap graphic. Show you the times difference between these guys, drafting and solo. 46 to a 31.
106 on both of second and third.
But the interesting factor right now is look at the lap that Minto ran and the lap that Tupper ran. That's a suck-up lap. They are closing in as they draft by themselves, they are also getting the draft off of the 33, so we call that a suck-up lap. So you're getting draft from both sides, and that gave them that really good lap, which will make this the quartet we were just talking about, as they are already only 1 second behind Tim Blum. So this will be a 5-car battle for the lead in a matter of moments.
So now, will you, on this next pit stop, want to pit with someone else so that you can not be on your own like what happened to Tim Blum?
Does this still just... Does your brain accept this the way that mine doesn't?
No, it doesn't. It's like a Daytona or Talladega race.
I mean...
It's weird.
I mean, we go back to... I mean, I know you were on the younger end, but we go back to the 2010, 2012 era of NASCAR plate racing, where it was literally the 2-car tandems, and if you were the odd man out, well, really, you couldn't make that 3-car trio. It did not work. Just the way the aerodynamics worked, the 3rd car dropped off, you needed that partner, and that seems to be what it is now. Are the 33 and the 922 going to be committed to the rest of the race? But we'll see what happens, as now we are passing another lap car who has significant damage. That's the 4 of Kyle Souza, but they already have gotten to the back bumper of Tim Blum.
So now they've caught him. What's it going to be like to pass him is going to be the question.
Yeah. And we are, worth noting, we have eclipsed the halfway point in this race. We've had, as our race summary thus far, 1 caution, just 1 caution for 3 laps. We've had 5 lead changes in the 46 of the 90 laps completed, but here we come for the lead. A little bit of a look to the outside for Craig with the help from Johnson, newfound companion up there. They're going to try to draft by the 10 for the lead.
And Cray is going to clear him. 10 of Blum getting a bit tight on the bottom. He is on a couple lap older tires. That has something to do with it. Now the 33 of Johnson pushing Blum down the front stretch. Kind of have to see what happens here. If Johnson can get by and get back up there with the 922, or if he's going to have to stay in line.
And this is opening up the doors for, as we talked about, Minto and Tupper to join into the mix, making it a 5-car battle for the lead. There is a lap car of Brian Phillips in the 39. He does have damage, but he may, just as we talked about the equalizer of the draft, he's 2 laps down, but he may be able to hang with these guys for the sake of the run, but we'll see. He is 2 laps down. He would be the free pass car. We don't actually have any 1 lap down drivers at the moment. It's pretty much on the lead lap or 2 laps down in the 15th position, but as things have momentarily settled down, I want to give you a quick through the field, let you know where your favorite driver may be running. Todd Cray is leading the race now. Eric Johnson in 2nd. Tim Blum running in the 3rd spot. Brandon Minto with the 4th. We have Eric Tupper rounding out your top 5. Back to a couple seconds back. Ethan Troutman running by himself in the 6th spot. Joshua Buckley in 7th with James Skelton drafting, and they probably will catch Troutman in the medal laps. Skelton in 8th. Bruce Potter in 9th, drafting with Tony Strano in the 10th spot.
Patrick Orr currently running in 11th. Joe Strano in 12th with a lot of damage on that car. Richard Murdoch in 13th. Pole sitter Max Terrio in 14th. And then first car a couple laps down, Brian Phillips in 15th. Kyle Souza in 16th, also 2 laps down. Ryan Oldani in 17th. James Heater in 18th, no longer on the track. Leo Bordage in 19th, and David Camara in 20th.
All right, so that is your field right now as we stand lap number 50, and we are seeing Minto and Eric Tupper start to drop off. So it is going to be a 2 or 3 car run right now for the lead, and we are going to step aside for a brief side-by-side and be back with you before the pit stop, so please stay with us. we're back here to PTR TV for round 7 of the Red Light Scrambler Series at Las Vegas in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup machines. We are past the halfway point in tonight's race with Todd Cray slightly pulling away from Eric Johnson. They were battling pretty hard for the top 3 spots, but look at the gap back to Tim Blum. He's dropped back almost a second of it.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder, is that because of the 2 laps older tires, or what the deal is with that? Or if he just pushed him a little bit harder trying to make up time running on his own, but a little over a second back, and now just the top 2, Todd Cray and Johnson, starting to kind of run away with it. But probably going to be coming down pit road here in probably 5 to 10 laps for the final pit stops of the race, at least final required pit stops of the race.
I remember it was a pit stop on lap number 25 into the run to 27. And as we bring up the stint graphic to the right side of your screen, about 20 laps into the run these guys are right now, so they can push it about 6 more laps approximately, puts us to 65, and that's 25 laps to the end, so we assume that that's going to be fine, but that's definitely going to be a very close run to the end, guys. 25 laps to go on a 26 to 27 lap fuel load. I wouldn't want to push that close, but there's not going to be much of a choice.
Yeah, because they're just barely going to be in their window if they run this all the way to the end and then run that last run all the way to the end. It's going to be really close, unless they just all pit a little bit sooner than what they needed to there. But like you said, if they can only go 26 laps, it's going to be really close.
And then also remember, in that first stint of the race, there was a lot of drafting. You're 2-3 wide in the pack, so for a lot of that, especially if you're in the pack, there's a lot of the time you're not full throttle, so you're saving fuel in that large draft. When you are by yourself or only in a very small pack, you're pretty much going to be flat out that entire time using the maximum amount of fuel, which may slightly hurt the fuel numbers.
So Todd Cray could be in a bit of a better situation here than Eric Johnson. Running there in second, he might be able to run a little bit longer, which could end up helping him make it all the way to the end of this race.
I can't remember what race it was on this schedule. I want to say it was the Michigan race these guys had. And we talked to guys after the race, and they just said from the moment the first caution came out, it put them in that awkward fuel window where they weren't able to drive as hard. I remember it was Max Terrio who's the one who said that, is that the entire race I was in fuel save mode, and it really affected how good of a run he was able to have in that race. So the question is going to be, is that do these guys know all of this already? It's a lot harder in the driver's seat to calculate out the entire race while you're trying to worry about making positions up.
Looks like Tim Blum has really dropped off pace here. I'm not sure if he's trying to save fuel.
I'll pull up the lap graph, and he ran...
He's out of fuel, I think, right now. He's clutching it down on the pit road after 25 laps. As well as Eric Johnson coming to pit road.
Yeah, you can see here on the tack, absolutely no lights on the dash for Tim Blum, and this is with 26 to go, which was the farther end of the window. We saw some guys at 25, so he's going to lose time getting the car refired in the slow roll to pit road. More importantly is here comes Todd Cray to pit road.
I don't think they're going to be able to make it to the end of this race without some fuel saving.
Well, this is going to be very meaningful in this case. Is look at James Skeleton. He is going to be... Remember, we haven't talked about him at all this race, behind us a couple...
He's clutching it, trying to save some fuel.
Yeah, Tim Blum only about 7,300 RPMs. Usually it should be at least in the low 8,000s with this package. So he's trying to make it this extra lap, because this extra lap could be pivotal. Is he going to pit this lap? A very late entry into the pits, but he's going to take it in, and that lap could be beneficial. And here comes Brandon Minto also. Brandon Minto, remember, he was in the top 5. Dropped off. Perhaps that dropping off was to get this extra lap out of the fuel cell.
Looks like Eric Johnson has cycled out to the lead. or to what will be the lead. And Todd Cray going to be in second here.
So, important notes right here. Tim Blum lost all that time being out of fuel. Todd Cray pitted on the same lap as, I think it was, yeah, who did he pit the same lap as Eric Johnson? So
actually, Johnson pitted 1 lap sooner.
Yes, he did. So we'll bring up the stint graphic because these differences in laps are going to be. Actually, we will have to wait for this to refresh at the line just because of the pit stop cycle. But note the difference is in position, or rather in laps, is going to be very vital onto whether these guys can finish. 3 laps on the stint for Eric Johnson, 2 laps on the stint for Todd Cray. Tim Blum still waiting for him to cross the stripe. There he goes. So that 2 laps, that 1 lap of gas in the bank for the 922 could be what is necessary. And just trying to go back to see where is Minto, where is Skelton.
Looks like Blum and Troutman are saving fuel here in 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, remember. James Skelton right now, who I think is the best driver, well, by far is the best driver right now in terms of fuel. Him and Josh Buckley, they're just now crossing the start-finish line, so they are a half lap back, but if they are short on fuel up front, that half lap isn't going to mean that much.
Well, the question comes to, though, is do you pit, if you know you're going to run out of fuel on your fuel window, do you pit in short pit and, you know, take a splash of fuel, or do you just run it out and pray for a caution?
If you're within a lap, I say back it down and go for it. But if you know you're over a lap short, there's not enough laps in these runs to go for it. So I would just say bite the bullet and just do the splash and go. Remember, worst case, if there is a caution, you have a green-white checker to hopefully get a lucky dog and bring you back in it.
And another thing, if there is a green-white checker, none of them are going to make it.
Oh, yes.
They're going to have to pit again.
Yeah. Again, this is the newest dynamic. We haven't thought about that with the green-white checker. I mean, you think of it in the real world, they'll talk about cautions late in the run, and you have to take that extra 2 to 3 seconds of fuel just to accommodate if there is a green-white checker. Well, none of these guys will be able to take it. Let's say the caution comes out right before the 1 to go. If the caution comes out right now on the 2 to go lap, they're going to have to go another lap and a half around to pit, and that may cause them to run out of fuel on the pace lap. So but let's take the broadcast hat off, guys, and put it back into perspective as a driver. How do you feel when you are in a position for a fuel mileage race?
I hate it because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you have your fancy crew chief app, and doesn't he tell you what to do?
Yeah, but I usually don't do it and it doesn't work.
Well, whoa,
Caution.
front straightaway. Throw all of that away because it means absolutely nothing.
Eric Tupper.
I wish I had a piece of paper right now that would act as a notebook and I could crumple it up, but all of that, throw it away. It's gonna be an old-fashioned pack race shootout to end this race out.
Yeah, because we're on lap 72 now, so we'll go green in what, 4 or 5 laps?
Yeah,
so probably gonna be about 15-ish laps.
Yeah, Tupper just got a little bit too low. He got kind of over the apron onto the flat in 4, and that just got him loose and sent him around. So what was going to be a very interesting finish to the end will still be a very interesting finish in a run to the end.
Different interesting.
Yeah, now it's just going to be, because I mean, we figure as everyone comes to pit road, and I mean, I'm assuming 4 tires and fuel. I don't think there's enough guys off the lead lap to take advantage of that. Max Terrio should be the lucky dog, but I think, guys, we can run in a full pack formation for about 10 laps. Is it?
Something like that. 10, 15.
Well, that's going to be the big differentiation. Is if it's a 10-lap pack run, then there may be a couple laps at the end to fall off. But if it's going to be,
you got to send it the whole run
and just pray that your right front survives and maintains you for the duration. Who's going to get the race out? Tim Blum.
Yeah, Tim Blum going to get the race off pit road.
He only had a 9-second pit stop, so that implies
2 tires.
2 tires. Now
him and Brandon Minto as well.
Now they are putting track position at that much of a premium over maximum handling. So the question is, how much of a degradation was the handling over the run? And I mean, is track position that important in the pack racing situation?
I did see Tim Blum was running about a second and a half off the pace than guys like Johnson or Cray, so his tires could be not quite as worn out just because he was trying to save fuel.
Yes, indeed. So how things change indeed. We had a couple different dynamics to this race. I mean, there could have been guys such as James Skelton in the 86 who were going to have that opportunity to run this thing out and maybe steal a win, but not going to happen, at least in the way we expected it to be. But I think trying to see the pace car status. The lights still are on, so trying to see who we have available to talk to, and I think I'll do a little mid-race interview and talk to Brandon Minto, third place driver. All right, Brandon, PTR TV, you got us, brother?
Yes, sir, I got you.
All right, so I just know you guys are probably on 2 to green, but we had a situation there. It was probably going to be running on fumes to the checkers. Before that caution, what was your fuel situation going to be to the run to the end?
I think I was going to be good. I was, right before that last pit stop, I was clutching, saving fuel to get that extra lap. And then I come in there, I think it was showing I was like 1 or 2 to the green, or 1 or 2 to the good. So I think me and James Skelton were going to be like the only 2 that had the fuel to make it.
All right, but now obviously all that is thrown away, and I know it's about 10 or 12 laps of full-blown pack racing before the tires start to wear, so do you have enough confidence that you'll be able to maneuver your way up there and stay up there for the win?
Oh, I hope to stay up front. Me and Tim Blum are sitting here talking a little bit, and because he's my teammate with Full Throttle, so we're going to be trying to work together to get by like Eric Johnson and stay in front of Todd Craig, because I know he was fast last week, so we'll just be working together, see what we can make happen.
All right, well, wish you luck, man, and see if we'll talk to you on the podium in a little bit.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, so you hear that. Brandon Minto felt very good, and we'll watch for an alliance with your leader of Tim Blum, Full Throttle Racing, in the Tide Ride and in the number 20 machine. So, but we know that outside lane on the restarts is not as good just because of the lack of momentum that is available while we're still getting up to speed. So it'll be interesting to see where that 33 does drop back to, and if he does fall back in the line, and what kind of push Todd Cray is going to be able to give him. A lot of stuff to find out in what'll be a 15-lap dash to the checkers.
Gonna be interesting to see here which row does get going better. It's probably gonna be the second row that's gonna make the difference on this restart. Gonna need to get good pushes from either Minto or Cray. See which lane does end up prevailing here. Coming through 3 and 4, gonna be 15 laps to go. Are they going to run a green? Is there going to be another restart? We will find out shortly. Coming out of 4 now, waiting for the pace car to pull down on the pit road. And there it goes now, waiting for Tim Blum to get us back underway here at Las Vegas. Almost to the restart zone, and there we go. We're back green, and pretty even start. Outside lane actually going a little bit better there. Good push from the 922 of Cray to Johnson. We'll see if he can hold on up there.
Yeah, the problem's going to be running through the corner where they're not up to speed.
Oh,
contact! 33 hard of the wall, and does anybody else get involved?
Yeah, the 39 of Phillips came a little bit late there, but I think they were really the only 2 there.
Caution is going to be out, and I mean, you kind of expect that in this kind of situation, that we may have some issues, and you can see the 20 of Minto, I think, maybe just washed up a little bit higher than he planned on. We'll go on board and see if that was the case.
Looks like Minto just kind of washed up a little bit in the center of the corner and got Johnson in the left rear.
He didn't hug the white line the way he needed to, and caused
Johnson was down a bit lower, kind of trying to side draft a little bit, and just Minto slid up and got him in the left rear.
So See how that changes things, as the 21 may have got a little bit of contact with the 39, who was already off the lead lap. Kind of just got the KO hit there with the T-bone, so now that'll put us into a less than 10 lap shootout to end this thing out, and it will put the teammates of the 10 and the 20 on opposite lanes, so they're not going to be able to help each other out unless they really are able to coordinate a good start. And I wouldn't expect any pit stops unless somebody needed damage repaired. As well, we just pitted a little bit ago. I would expect that 42. Remember, he is back on the lead lap. Curious to see if there is any more damage available for him to repair on that number 42. Remember, he was involved in a very early incident in tonight's race. Terrio going for that points championship in red light racing. He has a 10-point lead over Tim Blum, so Tim Blum in a position to make up quite a bit of points tonight if things don't go the way Max Terrio is hoping for. But as we do get ready for what will be potentially the final restart of the night, we'll go again side by side and be back with you for the restart, so please stay with us. Alright, we are back here getting ready for what will be a 10-lap shootout to finish tonight's Red Light Scrambler Series campaign after we just saw a wreck there on the restart as they were trying to side draft and get each other up to speed. Obviously, that did not end according to plan, especially for the 33 of Eric Johnson, who is still in the pits, stuck in the 15th position, and I think he may fall back to 16th after tonight's efforts. But Here we are getting ready for the restart. It might not be the final one. Remember, we may have green-white checkers if they are available, but we'll see if it comes down to that. The pace car will pull into pit road, and Tim Blum in the Tide Ride took 2 tires on the restart prior. Will he be able to hang up for the lead, hang in for the win? We'll find out together. Green flag's back in the air. Let's see what happens.
Outside lane did not get going at all there. That's going to allow Blum to clear now. Troutman down to the inside for the lead. Down into turn 1. Really good move by Troutman there, and he is going to clear for the lead now, trying to take James Skelton with him, and he's going to do so.
Yes, he is, and up top, that 20 and the 10. Remember, teammates, they talked about working together when we talked to Minto, so we'll see if there is going to be any benefit to that. But the 86 of Skelton's looking to the outside of the 962 of Troutman, trying to side draft to the quarter panel, get a run to the outside of the track. But the 21 machine may have something to say about
3
that.
wide for third right now. 922 going to back off, still side by side for the lead. 86 trying to side draft contact, going around.
Hard into the fence is the, I think that's the 21/59 of Bruce Potter. Got the worst end of the stick there. And again, this race kind of taking a very different turn from what it was for the majority of it. It's coming down to the end, and the aggressive moves are being made.
I think the 86 is tried to cut down the side draft.
He just came down the track and just into the 20. Well, I keep calling him the 21. It's actually the 59 of Bruce Potter. But came down into the lane and just nowhere to go. So this will not be, and I'm still getting used to saying this, is we actually haven't had one on PTR TV yet. We haven't had a formal green-white checker. This will not be a green-white checker. This will be a regular attempt to finish the race, because it should be about 3 or 4 laps to finish it. But it's just amazing how things do change, guys. We come down expecting to have this be a fuel mileage race, and here it is turning into really just an attrition battle.
And 86 is going to come down pit road here, probably to get some of that damage fixed. Pretty much everyone else is staying out at this point. And I don't think we're going to be in overtime quite yet, but if we do have one more, it is going to be some overtime.
Yes, it is, and once we get to, we'll be 3 to go, and once they take the white flag, then the flags are, well, the yellow flag is thrown away for the night. So we have to get to that point, but should give us, we do have enough drivers off the lead lap. It may be 2 or 3 laps to finish this, so slightly more laps, which again, as long as the race restarts with 2 to go, it will not be an attempt at a green-white checker. Once it gets to that point where it has to add that lap to ensure the 2 to go, then it will register as a green-white checker finish, but we are not there yet. So I think we do have some time to kill, so well, maybe Evan, if you want to talk to the 10 car, Tim Blum.
Tim Blum, PTR TV, you got a copy?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Not much. So you've been up here up front for most of this race. Kind of started around latter end of the top 10, but up here at the front for most of it, and leading right now, or running in second right now to Troutman after losing the lead on that restart. Think you're gonna have something for him up here?
Yeah, we'll see. This has been an interesting race. It got spread out there, so we didn't really get to see what moves could be made, and Ethan made a pretty good one there on that last restart, and I was sleeping a little bit, so he got under me. I'll probably start up high. My guess is he'll be low coming to the green here, and we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, we've seen the outside lane not work very well on the restarts here, so how do you feel about starting up there? Do you think you'll be able to get a good enough push from Cray back there and maybe get the lead?
Yeah, Cray, he's been pretty fast tonight. He had the lead, and I think he had the winning strategy before all the cautions started. It'll be in his best interest to draft with me and hopefully get the high line going, but yeah, it's every man for himself, and whoever's left has just as much of a chance as I do. Stay tuned.
Hopefully we can get this finish done under this start and not have to go into overtime. But good luck, and hopefully we'll be talking to you after this race.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks.
All right, so that is Tim Blum. Remember, he took 2 tires on that last start, and prior to the cautions coming out, he had run out of fuel and lost time in that, having to coast around to refuel himself. So now he's got to reset in a position where it'll be, 4 laps most likely, assuming the lights turn off this time, as they do. So 4 laps of regulation left, and again, if necessary, we will take this into overtime.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of hard to know what's going to happen here. From what we've seen in these last few restarts, I wouldn't be surprised to see us go into overtime here, but hopefully we can get this thing finished here on this restart, and I think we're going to get to see a good finish here.
Now we do have 12 drivers on the lead lap. Max Terrio in the 8th spot. I mean, he has all the damage, but he's got as much of it fixed as he can. Who knows, with the way things work out, he still might get himself a top 5 after this race, so stay tuned for that. But 962 is going to have the push from Minto. Minto, remember, team car with Tim Blum. Is there going to be any kind of showmanship in play to maybe get those drivers working together, or is Craig going to give too good of a push to the 10 and send him up to the front? Well, let's find out as we come through turns number 3 and 4 here in Sin City, as we're going to try to play the slots one more time. Who's going to get all 7s and take it to victory lane, get all the money? Let's find out together. Pace car is in. Troutman will be your control vehicle here for the restart. Everyone's slow in the zone. Here it is, green flag in the air, and I'll tell you, that 10 has a run.
Good start from Tim Blum there. Now going to try and get a push here from the 922. I don't know if it'll be enough. Going to have to take the longer way around turns number 1 and 2. Losing a little bit of that momentum now. See if he can get it go back up out of 2. Todd Cray right to the back bumper of that tin machine down the back stretch. Going to try and push him. Now where's the 20 Minto going to go? Stay right behind the Troutman. Take a look to the inside. Not going to be able to get down there. Going to be coming to 3 laps to go here.
Nearly the 10 and the 20. Teammates there. You don't want to wreck each other out, but that outside doesn't have the momentum typically on the restarts, but you're going to have to use it. And here he is to the top of the track. Brandon Minto. He's going to use the push from his teammate to try to get a run on Troutman. He's going to have a run in that second lane through 1 and 2 rather, onto the back straightaway with 3 to go.
Now the 10 pushing that 20 up to the lead. Has the advantage down into turn 3. Will he be able to clear through 3 and 4? Coming to 2 laps to go. The 20 of Minto hanging just on the right rear quarter panel. The 2 getting loose to the inside. That might give Minto a run.
Now here comes the 922 of Cray. He's going to look for a move in the middle, 3 wide. It's not going to come to fruition, as we're going to be 2 by 2. Cray is going to be the 922 by himself, trying to figure out what to do. Will we make it back to the white flag in order to take this race in regulation? It looks though, well, they're going to be 3 wide at the back of the pack. Coming through 3 and 4. We're going to be side by side for the lead, Evan.
2-car tandem right now through 3 and 4. Coming to the white flag. 962 of Troutman on the bottom, still with the advantage. Going to have it at the stripe. 2 looking 3 wide. Going to stay in line 4 now. 20 of Minto still door to door with that 962 down into turns number 1 and 2. Losing a bit of time through the center of 1 and 2 now. Coming down to the back straightaway. 962 Troutman is clear. The 2 is taking a look to the middle.
Yeah, the 2 is going to look to the middle. The 2 is going to get blocked by the 962. He's going to stay in line. 2 is going to try to force the 20 up the track. The 962 is going to have a run. He's going to pull away by about a car length. Will they have any advantage to the line? Try to draft next to him. The car going to be in the grass, but the 962 will have enough to take the checkered flag.
Troutman going to come in with the win. Then Joshua Buckley in second, and Brandon Minto coming home in third.
And a great run to the end there. Just Troutman was able to use that inside lane. He got enough of a gap off of 4 that they weren't able to suck up and get any kind of run to get him at the stripe. So that 962 is going to get his first win of the season in the Las Vegas 90-lap affair here tonight. So congrats to him on that effort. and everybody who got a good finish here tonight. So let's go down and give you the final rundown of results here tonight from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Obviously, with your win, as we just saw in thrilling fashion, was Ethan Troutman leading 13 laps tonight. Joshua Buckley pushes him to a second. Brandon Minto in third with his teammate Todd Cray in fourth. Tim Blom led the most laps. He'll have to settle for a fifth place finish. James Skelton in sixth. Pat Orr in seventh. Tony Strano with his brother Joe Strano, eighth and ninth. And then points leader Max Terrio rounds out your top 10.
And coming home in 11th was Richard Murdoch. In 12th, Bruce Potter. 13th, first car, one lap down, Brian Phillips. 14th, Kyle Souza. 15th, Leo Bourdage. And then Eric Johnson, Eric Tupper, Ryan Oldani, James Heater, David Camara, the top 20. And then Jesse Baker and Andy Lee rounding out the field.
All right, so that is your final result. So now we will start our post-race show and hopefully talk to our top 3 drivers. So we'll take a look and try to find the number 20. We just talked to him a little bit ago, Brandon Minto. All right, Brandon, I mean, you had a little bit of a contact with, I think, Johnson on that first restart, but you kind of recovered from that, and just the way it shook out, Troutman got a little bit too far ahead there, so you settled with a third tonight. Kind of talk about how those last couple restarts worked for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was wanting to win there so bad, but third's not too bad. I'll take the bronze. And yeah, I was just trying to work with Tim. And then on that first restart right after our interview, I think I was a little high going there into turn 1. And then I think that's what caused Eric Johnson. I think we got a little bit of contact. I kind of feel bad after that, but hey, it's racing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end there, I mean, once the fuel strategy was thrown out the window, I mean, we all kind of expected things to get tight as they did. But, I mean, we talked to you, as you said, right after the green flag run ended. So is there any kind of mental plan you can put into this on what kind of moves to make, just the way this plate style racing works? Or is it really just luck of the draw and just hopefully you're in the right spot?
I kind of think it's for the first maybe 4 or 5 laps, just stay low, just pedal to the metal, just send it. But then after that, once the tires start wearing, start working towards that high side and hoping you got some friends that aren't going to push you too hard and just keep driving.
Yep, and that's what you did. You got yourself on the podium, and looking towards the next week efforts, looks like probably going to be one of the more difficult races of the year. In all honesty, you guys take the Xfinity cars to Pocono, so how do you feel heading into that race next week?
I'm not a huge fan of racing Pocono, but I get to go watch the race up there every year because I'm up here in New Jersey right now. And yeah, Xfinity cars are probably the toughest car to drive now since this new package came in with the Cup cars. The Cup cars used to be the hardest, but now I like driving these Cup cars. And then Pocono itself is just a whole different battle that I don't need, like, just brake a little early, just try to coast it through the turns. I think it might come down to a fuel mileage race up there.
I think that definitely is a possibility with the fuel load you guys have here tonight. But again, you come home with the 3rd place finish. Good run for your team. Full Throttle Racing with Blum there in 5th. So any shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, I'll give a shout-out to my parents, my mom, my dad. I know they watch all these races. And my girlfriend, she struggles and sits and watches through the races. Luckily, you guys put on a good broadcast. So I want to send a shout-out to you guys. Like, I appreciate everything you do for us.
All right, thank you, brother, for that, and hopefully we'll be talking to you soon.
For sure, thank you.
Now, Evan has caught up with 2nd place in tonight's race of Josh Buckley.
All right, Josh, come home with 2nd here tonight at Las Vegas, and started back at 16th, but worked your way up through this field. What was this race like for you?
Chaos at the beginning. Trying to avoid that wreck when I saw it happen. And other than that, it was just riding. Wound up hooking up with my teammate in the middle of the race, which we just tried to run some cars down and play the fuel mileage game until that other caution came out, and then just went for it all there at the end. Honestly, that was crazy. And just I was like, once I got to the bottom, I'm like, I saw Brandon hook up with his teammate Tim, and I'm like, well, I'm hooking up with Ethan, and I'm just pushing him as far as I can go.
Yeah, and that fuel mileage run there to the end, do you think you were going to make it to the end on fuel, or were you going to have to pit one more time?
It was going to be close. We were going to try to play the game. I James thought he was going to make it. I didn't think I was going to make it. So when that caution came out, it was a little bit of a sigh of relief for me. He wasn't as happy because he thought he might have the race. But, I mean, not complaining now, finishing second. I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah, strategy definitely came into play there. And with this new aero package on the Cup cars, did you kind of like the racing tonight? I know it's a bit different than what we have been seeing, just with a lot more pack racing. And do you like that, or do you kind of wish it stayed like it was?
It has its pluses and minuses, but to be honest with you, this package of this track, that as a driver, that was a lot of fun. It was chaos, and it was especially to have that kind of finish, it was really enjoyable. Just you can run so hard and so close to each other, and I guess I'll say I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it was a lot of fun. And is there anyone I'd like to thank or shout out to after your second place finish?
Thank you guys for coming out and doing the broadcast. I appreciate it. My teammates at Need for Speed Motorsports, Sean, DJ, and James, and everyone that comes out every week at Red Light Racing just to come out and have a good time. I appreciate you all coming out, and I have a lot of fun, so definitely appreciate it.
All right, thanks for talking with us, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
Now, Corey has caught up with your winner at the 962 of Ethan Troutman.
All right, Ethan, you got yourself a victory here tonight, and a race that had many different dynamics to it. So we'll take you back to the initial green flag run. What was your situation going to be like on the fuel cell with what we thought was going to be a fuel strategy race?
After that, I guess it was second green flag stop after that long run, I came up behind the 10, and he is, a front runner all night long. So I figured if I was able to save gas and stay with him, we'd probably have a shot at it. It was definitely close. I don't know how far I would have made it, just because we didn't get deep enough into it. But I was definitely half throttle, just riding behind the 10 for that little stint there. But I'm glad that caution came out. It worked for me in the end.
Yes, it definitely did. And we had those couple restarts, and I kind of asked Brandon this in his interview. Was there any kind of strategy that you can put together in this kind of racing, or is it really just being in the right position at the right time and just making the most out of it?
Yeah, for a longer run, it's about saving your stuff and staying with the pack. But a short run like that, it was all about defending. I knew if I could get to the bottom, get to the lead, if I could run the bottom and defend it, and I had some help from behind, it was going to be hard for those guys on the outside to beat us.
Yeah, and it was. You got enough of a run there on off of 2 and got enough of a gap where they couldn't get it back to you. So worked out in your favor, but looking forward to next week's race, man. You guys take the Xfinity machines to Pocono, probably what'll be one of the more difficult races of the season. So what are your thoughts heading into that situation?
Well, if you remember last week with my second place finish at Myrtle Beach, I said I was not looking forward to that track. Well, this week is different. I feel like this track, this car, Las Vegas, and the Cup car was a good shot for me to get a win. Worked out. And we'll go back to the other side. Pocono, I'm terrible at Pocono and the Xfinity car, so I definitely need to get my practice in there if I want to repeat today's performance.
All right, so I'm sure you will do that and try to get a back-to-back situation. So who do you want to give for shout-outs for your win here tonight?
Oh, man, everybody. I got some guys, Mike, a shout-out last week. I told him if I could do it again, I'd give some more guys at work a shout-out. Got Wyatt, we got Ty, Christian, Cameron, Blaine, Rick, and we got my buddy Hayden going to watch us too. Other than that, I just want to thank you guys for staying with this league every week and giving it the coverage it definitely deserves. And for the guys behind the Red Light Racing League, because there's a lot goes into this, stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be done, and they really put a lot of effort into it to make it professional.
They definitely do, and congrats again on your win, and maybe we'll be talking to you soon.
All right, thank you guys. Let's go celebrate this.
All right, so that is the post-race show. So time to wrap up coverage tonight here on PTR TV. Want to give some quick shout-outs, Air Movement Fabrications, to Fame Motorsports, Fame Nation. And, of course, we wouldn't have a broadcast if it wasn't for the simulator of choice, iRacing. So we saw the Red Light Scrambler Series, an exciting finish to tonight's race with the 962 of Ethan Troutman getting the victory. Again, congratulations once more to him on that effort. Check us out Wednesday night for the Dreamer Racing Series here on PTR TV, as well as on our Facebook page. And don't want to miss that. And we'll be back with you next week again for some more Red Light Scrambler Series at Pocono Raceway in the Xfinity cars. Signing out of the booth is Evan Black, Corey Silva, and Cole Borgstadt with a little cameo appearance here tonight. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.
Have a good night, and we'll see you on Wednesday.